Today's guests are Darryl and Blythe. So Blythe, you are the service administrator for Early On Child Center.
I'm the early years
system
administrator. That's okay, for the Algoma District School Board.
For the Algoma District School Board. And Darryl, you're a mental health lead with the Algoma District School Board. So you guys have a lot of experience in working with, dealing with children and their mental health, which is actually becoming a more emerging topic that people are talking about. Before, not so much. Now, you know, people are starting to come to terms with the fact that children have mental health needs as well. So September is right around the corner. So that's a stressful time for parents and children. Blythe, are you able to tell me a little bit about how parents can adequately prepare their children for starting school, maybe for the very first time?
Sure, I can talk about that a little bit. One of the things that we do to help parents and children get ready to school is we offer the Welcome to Kindergarten program back in the spring. So parents and children may have had an opportunity to already visit their school, visit their classroom, have a school bus ride, and hopefully they've had the opportunity to do that. If not, we encourage them to call their school, maybe the week before school starts, reach out to the principal or secretary, see if they can get a tour of the school, just to feel what it's like before they arrive on the first day.
A little bit pre-prepared.
Yeah.
And Darryl, what kind of services and tools are in place for children that might be having a more difficult time at school?
Lots of things. We certainly recognize there's lots and lots of pressure for kids coming to their first day. And some of that pressure they put on themselves, but a lot of that pressure comes from parents as well. As parents, we're guilty of putting a lot of expectation on that first day. And sometimes a lot of sort of managing some of those early first day anxieties is paying attention to our own anxieties about our kids attending school. So just being a little bit mindful about, you know, what those inner voices are telling us about that day, what our worries might be, but also paying attention to our own experiences as a child going to school, because some of us had great experiences and some of us not so much. And that could be playing out a little bit too prior to that first day. So we want parents to be really encouraging, set some realistic expectations, because every child starts that first day in a different way, right? And we have very, very trained staff on site that are ready to receive the children coming in.
Right.
They're there to support them, of course. They're there to answer questions from parents. Hopefully a lot of that sort of preparation work has happened already, but if it hasn't, that's okay. We certainly have staff that are there to greet and provide all of that support. And if things aren't going so well, we've got lots of support within the school that we can help with, but we also rely really heavily on our community partners as well.
And what are some of those community partners?
So Algoma Family Services is our lead mental health agency, children and youth mental health agency in town. So we certainly have access to a lot of their staff that come into our schools, provide support. Also agencies like Thrive, Community Living Algoma. We have, what other supports are important for those early years? Can you think of?
Well, sometimes we work with infant development with Algoma Public Health.
So there's lots of resources locally right here that are available. Blythe, are you able to speak a little bit to, because we've talked about, you know, children and their needs, but what about parents that might be struggling to kind of let go and let their children go? Do you have any tips? Do you work ever with parents specifically, or is it more so just with the children?
Well, we always work together with the parents and the children. So it's about, you know, practicing saying goodbye maybe in the first couple of weeks before school starts, you know, practicing leaving them with a caregiver or a friend and saying, you know, we're going to say goodbye and I'm going to be back to see you in a little while, and then picking them back up so the child knows that the parent's coming back. And the parent knows how to say goodbye in that nice, calm, reassuring way. And it's really important that the families work together with the team, with the teacher and the early childhood educator, because they're going to help them through that process of because it's sometimes hard to say goodbye to our little ones on that first day.
Yeah, for sure. I can only imagine. And then Darryl, a question I have for you is, what specific tips do you have for children that might already be experiencing or be a higher anxiety child that's now going to school for the first time?
Right, and that does happen. I think it's really important for parents to talk to their kids about those worries. If we're able to isolate what those worries are, so much more powerful for us, because we can use that information to help. So some of them, for example, might have fear of getting lost. They may have fear of using the toilet for the first time at school, what that might look like. So once we know what those fears are, we can assist the child in a really gentle way, you know, seeing what some of those routines are at school so that they're not so concerned about that. We know that there's a lot of change happening on that first day. So some sort of the mental health hacks around this would be for parents to pay attention to some of the things that they might be able to include in the routine prior to getting back to school. So getting back to that sort of good night's sleep, getting up a little bit earlier, getting up with the sun if possible, and then being prepared to be at school. Some great hacks around, we spoke to some of our experts at the board office prior to the meeting today, and some wonderful ideas around lunch kits. So for a lot of kids in JK, they've never used a lunch kit. So, you know, practice with the new lunch kit. Bring it out, have a meal or a picnic together, and practice opening up Ziploc bags, opening up thermoses. The other thing that's kind of maybe a little bit different than what happens in most homes is our lunches, we have 2 lunches.
Right.
It's a balanced day.
Right.
So there may be some conversation with the student prior to school about what foods are eaten at the first break and second break, and the parent may have some preferences around that. So, and there could be some labeling involved. The children that are really experiencing a lot of anxiety, we want to reassure them, of course. We don't want to spend an inordinate amount of time talking to them about those worries and fears. So we want to have the conversation, try to talk about, you know, don't dismiss it. It's really important, those feelings. So we want to, you know, encourage them to express themselves and indicate, you know what, yeah, it's probably pretty normal to be worried, and that's okay. You know, mom, dad, or teacher, or grandparent, or a caregiver will help support along with the teacher, and we'll do everything we can to ensure that you have a great day that first day.
So it sounds like communication and creating a routine are some of the key themes that we've talked about. Absolutely. I want to thank you guys so much for coming in and taking the time to share with us a little bit about what you do in a day and how parents can prepare their little ones for that big first day. So thank you so much.
Oh, great. Thanks for having us.
All the best in September. Thank you. And we'll be back with more news after this.